All right, everyone, a federal judge in Texas has ruled the draft in its current form is actually unconstitutional. It can't be male only because there are women in combat roles, and because there are women able to be in combat roles, the military lets them, they're physically capable of it, it's unconstitutional to say, but women don't have to sign up for the draft because of equal protection. And it's a cut and dry case. It's clearly unconstitutional. It has been, though. Even before women were in combat roles, it was blatantly unconstitutional. The government administers the military. The military is not exempt from equal protection laws. It's, again, fairly clear. Now, what I would prefer is this, and the opposite will probably happen, let's be honest. I would prefer that the draft thus be abolished. No, men shouldn't have to sign up for the draft. The idea of signing up for selective service, we've got a volunteer military. We've got way too much manpower, and tech being the way it is, the modern battlefield does not require a draft. A drafted force, everything else equal, will almost always lose to a volunteer military anyway, because the volunteers that have showed up, they kind of want to fight. Or they feel more hyper-patriotic. Psychologically, they're going to be different from a random sampling of the population. They're going to tend to work harder towards it. They want to be part of that Great War goal, as opposed to the drafted force, where most of them probably they'd rather be sitting at home watching TV, watching the war on TV or something. Or on YouTube now. Oh, wait, they banned war footage. Okay, watching it on BitChute. I think that the idea of a draft is ludicrous. The idea that we would ever be in a situation where we'd need to use it, that would I think in a situation where we would need the draft, we're probably already in a nuclear exchange anyway, and so probably the manpower is needed domestically. Somebody's going to have to man the fallout shelter and go scavenge the wasteland that'll be left behind, the nuclear remains. Basically a bunch of gun-loving preppers are going to be the people that are left, a bunch of traditionalists that have a double-wide basement. It's basically the fighting force, and they probably kick the shit out of the enemy anyway. The modern military really should be seen more as administering air and sea defense, and nuclear weapons, like ballistic missiles, and testing to develop new weapons that can be manned at that level. Everything else should really be on the civilian level, but unfortunately what they're likely to do is just say, okay, women have to sign up for the draft too. Yeah, we're just going to make everyone sign up for the draft. Now that shouldn't be the policy. I think it's a crazy idea to make women fight anyway, because there's your reproductive value. The problem is government, in the sense of the Constitution and the equal protection it affords, can't just say, well, pragmatically, for like rebuilding society reasons, we don't want women, to be drafted and sent over. It's not going to work that way. You can't get around it, and that's why they should just eliminate the draft. Look, we don't have any manpower problems. If there aren't enough people volunteering, offer them something more. It should be just like a private business. Divert some of the money you waste on weapons that cost 1,000 times as much because of no-bid contracts, and take some of that money and pay the troops a little more. Give them some more benefits. Look, a lot of people join the military or the reserve or whatever to get college money anyway, because the government makes it so expensive to go to college by throwing free money to colleges so that they'll up their tuition, which is the death spiral of what's happening. Again, it's the government's fault. It's not the private market's fault. We had no problem with that before the government started loading up with grants and scholarships and shit like that. You should get rid of them all. The colleges will compete in a free market environment. They will drop their prices. That's just the way that it'll work. We don't need another perpetual GI Bill or anything like that. Get government out of as much as possible. And that's why I think what we should do is this. Here's my proposal. Here's my big idea. Eliminate the draft. Bring back the Civil Defense Force. And I mean separate from, right now it's been absorbed by FEMA, which in turn is administered by DHS. It's 3 layers deep and buried in bureaucracy. No, don't do that. Bring back the idea of a semi-government administered, but ultimately largely civilian Civil Defense Force. Give people the steel helmets and the flak jackets. Give people marksmanship lessons, basic field medicine. Teach them how to build a crude shelter. It'll be like an extension of Boy Scouts on steroids. Teach them how to fight and how to heal wounds, how to build structures. How do you deal with the radiation? Here's the basics of decontaminating your home after the war effort and so forth. Teach them how to operate a ham radio. Teach them about how to generate power in unconventional ways. Stockpile, build armories, build fallout shelters, make sure that our domestic homeland is safe. At any given point, I'm not worried about some terrorist takes down the United States, because it's not going to happen. The only main foes that we have that are truly able to cripple society to the point where we would need drafted manpower are the other nuclear powers, major players on the world stage. That essentially means Russia and China, and that's it. Not North Korea. North Korea is not going to be able to fry us. Nor, by the way, is that their goal. I've said consistently for years, their goal is to develop enough sub-based weaponry so that it provides a deterrent that keeps us from getting involved if they decide to attack the ROK with conventional weapons and try to overrun them. To reunite the peninsula. Why would you nuke... I mean, if they want to reunite the peninsula, which is the only goal they could have, why would they want to deploy hydrogen bombs? What, so they can inherit the smoldering craters and spend the next 100 years rebuilding to some semblance of normality while killing their own people? That's not going to happen. No, it's just a deterrent to keep everyone else from getting involved when they march in the normal way. That's what it's about. Not that that's likely. When Kim Jong-un inherited the kingdom from his father, he realized, oh shit, well that's actually not feasible now, is it? We'd probably lose. Maybe we should just develop the H-bomb and then we'll, sue for peace, basically. And then we'll reunify and inject some Jew shit. I'll make sure to get something in there so that me and my generals don't get thrown in a prison for war crimes or anything, and everything will be fine. I'll be dictator, and then when I die, it'll become a republic or something. That's basically what the goal is. That's the new operative procedure in Korea, and I think the U.S. is on board. Oh, I can't wait to make that video in a few minutes. Here's the thing. Male-only draft is blatantly unconstitutional. Absolutely. 100%. There's no question. No judge in the land is going to uphold, oh, yeah, it's okay for the government to discriminate against an entire class of citizens, even if there are able-bodied members of that group. No, what it should be is you shouldn't have a draft. Bring back the civilian civil defense force. Yes, I mean, look at how cool it is. All the Cold Wars, they made pamphlets to teach survival, and they made videos and propaganda, which was really interesting and cool to watch. Cross-training with the National Guard. Disaster relief. It's not all related to military expeditions or defending the homeland against commies or something, although that is still something we should be doing. We need to defend the homeland against commies by kicking a lot of the commie bums out of Congress, people like Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Kamala Harris. Yes, we should kick them out of Congress. They're traitors to the Republic. They're trying to make us turn into commie light. No thanks. No, you should definitely make sure people know. Here's your basic checklist. Of things that you should have. Spare batteries is like, a month's food supply, sort of stock, some place where you can take shelter in case of an atomic attack. Here's basic marksmanship, unconventional weapons, a blowgun, fucking bow and arrow. Here's how to craft a crude knife. Here's how to cast bronze in case you need all sorts of stuff like that. Give people that rudimentary technical training as well. Like, here's how to rewire an electrical system. Here's what to do with this exploding transformer. Here's how to install solar power. There'll be so many goods lying on. Let's say we had a nuclear war. The goods would be everywhere. Most people wouldn't know how to use them. That's the whole problem. Plenty of resources, no know-how. Here's how to plant food. Here's how to decontaminate the top layer of soil and plant crops so that you don't fucking starve when the scavengeable canned goods run out. A couple of years later, there's not going to be a whole lot of food lying around, even though it was so prevalent before. It's just going to sit there rotting, and there's going to be flies and disease and rabid animals and crazy shit. Here's a booklet teaching you the basics of how to probably survive that situation. Here's how to make antiseptic as a wound wash. Here's how to use sulfur to prevent the wound from festering. Stuff like that. So fuck the draft. The draft, no, dudes shouldn't have to sign up for it. The idea, it's like even like back in the Bush years, like, I have to sign up for selective service and shit, so you can vote and everything. Now go to like your patriotic duty and stuff. I can remember the commercials about it. And it's like, it's just a bunch of bullshit. There's no need for a draft. You get plenty of volunteers in the military, as we've shown. How many people do you even need in a military that's increasingly mechanized? Not very many. Have them in the Guard instead. Now, plenty of people. Expand the National Guard. Expand their purview so that if you need, you can call up that manpower because they've already got military training. Not necessarily the most, the crack troops, the creme de la creme, total elite troops. No, you're not necessarily going to have that, but there will always be some young people out there that want the prestige of being a Navy SEAL or an Army Ranger or going into the Marine Corps and becoming a sergeant or something. There are always people that will be after the prestige, or they're like, well, my dad was in Nam or something, so I want to sign up. Dad was in Desert Storm, and they want to carry on the tradition. They don't want to go to war, but they want to have military training. They want the Purple Heart for dropping a mortar on their foot accidentally. Whoops. Or something like that. That's basically how it works. So no, I think the draft is useless and antiquated. It should have been phased out, basically 50 years ago. That's about all. Peace out.